YouTube is full of videos about good knives. It's full of videos about bad knives. It's high time that someone makes a video about weird knives. This is 3 Weird Knives, and I'm your host, JJJinks!
Let's get weird.
To start off this episode, I thought I would bring back a knife that I've shown off before. It's this one that I got from a truck stop somewhere where I was traveling. It says on the tag here, MU-1115, and there's the SKU. It's got a pocket clip with a recess into the plastic, so that's nice. Not a whole lot of tension on it. And you got this kind of plastic grating screwed onto the front, so that's cool. Now, I do remember that on that trip, I was dejected because I wasn't finding very many knives. And so when I spotted one, I was like, I don't care, I'm buying it. It's a knife. But I was delighted when I finally opened the blade, and here's why. What the hell? Now, what we have are a series of singly ground, ovular-shaped things. It sort of reminds me of kind of like a bread knife. This comes to us from Master USA. So it's sort of like a hookbill, bread knifey thing. I've never seen something like this before, and I've never seen it since. Totally weird. Totally happy with this purchase. The blade centering is not that good. It kind of goes over to one side, and the lockup is also pretty poor. Doesn't really lock up very much at all unless you put tension on the blade and force the lock to move, and then it goes too far. This is exactly the quality you would expect from a truck stop. I dig it. Practically speaking, I have no idea what I would use this for. I don't know. Like I said, I've just never seen anything like this before in my life. Truly weird. Next up, this comes to us from Tac Force, the Speedster model. Ask your local knife retailers for other fine Tac Force knives. It has an extremely sharp edge, so you must use caution when opening the package. Anyway, one thing I appreciate is that on the package you can see all the different model numbers, which is basically the same knife over and over again, but different colors. You got everything from just straight up black to a pink and white camo to a nice light purple. The option that I went for was this boring kind of green color because that's what was available from the store that I got it from. You got a rather sharp glass breaker. It's basically just a cylinder that comes to a point, but it is very pointy. And you got a deep riding pocket clip with a small amount of tension, but that's okay. Blade centering looks good. What drew me to this knife was the blade. Wait, hold on. What is that? I just noticed this. 11.5 times 4 times 2. What? Weird, right? Anyway, here's the blade. This is why I got it. What we have is a very exaggerated, jagged tooth sort of, I guess you can call that a serration. It's the most extreme serrations I've ever seen. And then up towards the tip of the blade, we've got a bunch of randomly placed holes and a small flat part. So I guess technically this is sort of a modified Warncliffe blade. Lockup's pretty good, I would say. Yeah, that's nice, I guess. And after I got it, I realized I've seen this kind of blade before. It came with a Smoky Mountain Knife Works mystery package of Frost Cutlery knives, the Tanto Hunter TX080G. I was like, I recognized it. This is a folding knife with a neon green scale material, and it's a lockback, so it's different. It's not exactly the same. You got a high riding pocket clip, and basically, here's the blade. So this is what made me think of that one. Now, there are some differences. The serrations are a little bit less extreme on this zombie hunter knife. The holes are in slightly different locations, and instead of a Warncliffe, it's a Tanto. And this back jimping sawtooth, whatever you want to call it, is also kind of different. But there are a lot of similarities between these two. Most notably, the extreme serrations that are going on. So, yeah. Two very closely related knives, but both of them weird nonetheless. And for our third installment, we got a big one. This is a fixed blade knife in a nylon sheath, and when we unsnap the snap, what we are presented with is this thing. What we have is a fixed blade knife. The blade has a little bit of a recurve going on, if you can see it in there. And from the handle, we have these knuckle duster spiky things, making it very, very intimidating. Yes, this knife comes to us from Black Legion. Now, I would imagine if you were to pull this out in an altercation, your foe would be so intimidated that they would probably just run away. Which is fine, because hidden in the handle of the knife are not one, but two small throwing knives wrapped in a little bit of a red ribbon. Neither of them are necessarily sharp, but that's okay because it's a throwing knife. As long as they're, sharp at the tip, that's what counts. And that's not so hard to do. And each one fits into each side of the handle, like so. And the tip is accommodated by these little cone-shaped things up here by the hilt. So that's pretty neat. Now the handle part itself is pretty thick, and it's wrapped over and over again in this nylon strip all the way down to the bottom, which gives it this kind of ribbed look. And it actually works pretty well. For something that's supposed to give grip, that nylon ribbing does actually do a good job, I think. Now, my friends and I unboxed this knife a year ago when I visited in Florida, and I think it pretty much stole the show. This was like the coolest thing that we unboxed from Bud K, and it's got to be these throwing knives that really just seal the deal and makes this knife just a little more weird, but also, I mean, the practicality of it is just so obvious. Oh, you're gonna run away from me? This is the kind of stuff that makes finding other vendors just so much more difficult. Bud K offers the most weird shit. So, it's optimized for up-close combat and ranged combat.